Published, 21:58 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 16th of May 2018. Updated, 21:58 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 16th of May 2018. Australians will have the privilege of viewing the royal wedding live during prime time, as millions of people across the globe prepare to tune in to watch the dramatic spectacle. Almost every free-to-air channel will broadcast the event on Saturday night, with the exception of Channel 10, who will broadcast UK reality show Ambulance. Channel 9's coverage will be led by Today Show stars Georgie, Gardner and Karl Stefanovic, while Melissa Doyle and Michael Usher will head rival Network 7's broadcast. Both Channel 9 and 7 will begin coverage from 7 p.m. in Australia's eastern states, while public broadcasters ABC and SBS will start half an hour later. Foxtel subscribers can watch the BBC's coverage live on UK TV. Here, Daily Mail Australia provides an armchair guide to the royal wedding for Australians, including when to tune in to see the Queen arrive. 6 p.m. Members of the public who have been invited to watch the wedding day from the grounds of Windsor Castle, about 35 kilometres west of central London, began to arrive. 6:30 p.m. Wedding guests begin arriving at the castle's famous round tower by coach. They will enter St George's Chapel through the south door and take their seats. 7 p.m. Live coverage of the royal wedding begins on Channel 9 and the 7 network. Channel 9 hosts Stefanovic and Gardner will cross to reporters across London and special guests, including royal photographer Arthur Edwards. Meanwhile, Doyle and Usher will be live from a studio that overlooks Windsor Castle, and will cross to their Europe correspondents Hugh Whitfield and Laurel Irving. Almost every free-to-air channel in Australia will broadcast Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's pictured wedding live during prime time on Saturday night. Guests will be arriving at the Round Tower at Windsor Castle, west of London, by coach, and will be seen walking to St George's Chapel from 6:30 p.m. The tower was closed to visitors in 1975 for major construction work and was underpinned to prevent subsidence, but instead of reopening to visitors, it was later converted into office space for the Royal Archives. In 2011, the choir in St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, where the royal wedding will be held on May 19. The magnificent choir was the first part of St George's Chapel to be completed, and its aisles were finished and roofed between 1477 and 1483. Kensington Palace is not releasing a full official guest list. Some 600 guests will be in St George's, and 200 of those will party into the night at the reception in nearby Frogmore House. Following the ceremony in the choir, pictured 7:30 p.m. SBS and the ABC begin their countdown towards the royal wedding. Journalists Annabelle Crabb and Jeremy Fernandez will lead the ABC's coverage, while 5-time Gold Logie winner Ray Martin will front SBS's broadcast alongside radio's MYF Warhurst and comedian Joel Creasy. 8:20 p.m. Members of the royal family begin arriving, entering via the Galilee porch, some on foot and others by car. 8:45 p.m. Harry and his brother the Duke of Cambridge are expected to appear at the chapel's west steps, probably on foot, walking past the thousands of spectators invited into the grounds of the castle. This will give Harry an opportunity to acknowledge the 200 representatives from charities he is associated with, gathered in the Horseshoe Cloister at the bottom of the steps. 8:55 p.m. Following protocol, the Queen will be the last member of the royal family to arrive. Following protocol, the Queen will be the last member of the royal family to arrive at around 8:55 p.m. Her Majesty is pictured left at garden party on Tuesday and right attending the first day of the Royal Windsor Horse Show at 10 p.m. The congregation will file out of the chapel to see the newlyweds leave before heading to St George's Hall for the lunchtime reception hosted by the Queen. Her Majesty is pictured with the Earl of Wessex and the Duke of York at a garden party on Tuesday at Buckingham Palace. 8:59 p.m. With a minute to go, Meghan Markle is expected to turn up at the chapel's west steps by car, from her overnight accommodation, with some of her bridesmaids and page boys. She will start her journey, which will take her past some of the crowds in the long walk, with her mother Doria Ragland, but when the car stops at the castle, her mother will exchange places with her bridesmaids and page boys, including Princess Charlotte and Prince George. Miss Ragland will enter the chapel by the Galilee porch. 9 p.m. The service starts. Everyone will already know most of what to expect as the order of service is being released at 9 a.m. on Friday, or midnight local time. Meghan Markle's journey through Windsor will take her past some of the crowds in a long walk as she is accompanied by her mother Doria before she exchanges places with Meghan's bridesmaids and page boys, including Princess Charlotte and Prince George. 10 p.m. The newlyweds will emerge about an hour later at the west steps of the chapel. They will be waved off on their carriage procession through Windsor by members of both families. The congregation will file out of the chapel to see the newlyweds leave before heading to St. George's Hall for the lunchtime reception hosted by the Queen. The carriage procession through the streets of Windsor is expected to take about 25 minutes. 1 p.m. coverage on all Australian free-to-air channels will conclude. The reception is not being televised in Australia and neither is the evening reception at Frogmore House. The congregation will file out of the chapel to see the newlyweds leave before heading to St. George's Hall for the lunchtime reception hosted by the Queen.